somebody should have to monitor that thing if in the future, if
Mm,
any bug or anything happened, something malfunctioning or something
mm,
going wrong. So it means that they obviously they contact to the company or who provides that software, and then they ask for to resolve that issue, and they specify, okay, so this is the problem that
mm.
we have faced right now. So obviously it means that at that stage even we need a tester, because wherever there is a coder there will be a tester, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, yeah,
So,
that's my point. Thank you.
so in my next slide, I will try to explain where to stop and where to start and where to stop software testing. So
Mhm.
in that slide, you will learn like software testing started. Let's say you joined a project, you get a job, and that was ongoing project. The team
Mhm.
was working on something or the project or software already, and you are part of that. That will be called as ongoing project. Let's say if you are lucky and you get a job in a company where they are about to start like software development, software testing. So you join that project very new as a software tester, and you will start to learn about that software. It will take like 5 to 6 months just to learn the process.
Mhm.
So once you join the project, they will not ask you to start software testing very next day. They will give you for at least 90 days to just read and learn the software requirements, because each software is developed on some requirements. So they will ask you, okay, you can read these requirements and try to understand. After that, in that 90 days, the developer will develop some functionality. Then they will ask you to start software testing. So that we will discuss in our next slides. So that is basically a process through which a software tester first learn about the requirements, because if you don't understand the requirements you cannot test the software. You have to learn first about the requirements, then you can test. So we will discuss in our next slide. uh,
Thank you.
any other question? All right, so here I added another example of software. Um, so basically software plays a vital role in our modern life. We use software in our daily routine for our personal, professional, and societal experiences. So, in this slide, I try to explain like why we use software, what is the purpose to use softwares in our daily life. So, we use software for our automated and efficient manual to like if we want to take some automated process, we would not need manual intervention. We use softwares to automate the process. And in automated process, you are not about to spend a lot of um time on to get some knowledge or for your personal need, for your professional need. I can give you an example of this software. Like I'm using right now, I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint. If I write these all information on a whiteboard, it will take me a time. Since I already developed, I already prepared this slide, and automatically once I'm clicking on my keyboard, page up, page down, it just automatically within a millisecond it is displaying me information. So we use software just to automate our manual intervention, and that manual information or intervention might have some inaccuracy. So we use software just to make sure the accurate information is displaying, and we are minimize our manual interventions. So we use software like to automate the efficiency, automate the process. We communicate and connect with other people, like due to internet. Like now, uh, we are living in a global village. We can communicate to anyone anywhere in the world through email, through social media apps like Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, messaging apps, video conferencing. Like I'm using a video conference software to communicate with you. I don't know where exactly you are sitting, but I'm communicating with you guys through a software. So we use software to communicate, to connect with other people around the world. So we are basically, what's the purpose of this meeting? To educate you on software testing. So through software, we are educating, we are learning a lot of things. Like if you Google, if you go on YouTube, you can watch any video, you can learn, you can access any personalized content on YouTube, Facebook, Google. So through software, we are doing, we are getting educated, and we are learning whatever we would like to learn about. In healthcare and medicine, software are extensively used in diagnostics. Like you have heard about CT scan, MRI, and radiotherapy, like skin cares, patient cares. Everywhere, if you go, if you visit a hospital, they will use healthcare and medicine softwares. We are using the software in our business and commerce industry. Like if you working on Amazon, you need to plan your inventory. You have to manage your inventory and finances, supply chain, like where to buy and where to sell, what to buy and what to sell, like supply chain. All those softwares we are using in business and commerce are basically e-commerce softwares. We are using software in our entertainment and media industry, like video game, music apps, production media. All media are basically using software. Research and innovation, transportation and logistics. Like all the navigation system is basically a software, like Google Map, Apple Map are all examples of navigation systems. Traffic management, like you in US especially, you have not seen any traffic sergeant to stand with any traffic light. These are all automated process, and basically what's running in the back is a software who is managing all the traffic, like traffic lights, their timing, all those things. They are managing the transportation and logistics. Government and public services, like uh, in US, you file your tax. So basically, there is a software who help to file the tax. So tax collection, public safety, like 911, emergency, all those government and public services use the specific softwares. Digital services through government, like social security, you have to apply for your social security or any other government facility. Basically, they are using softwares. Environmental impact, like energy consumption, to see what is the energy consumption of this area, or uh, environmental change challenges and their data analysis. We are using software. Personal convenience, like for security devices, for security purpose, we are using softwares to comfort, banking apps, social media apps. These are all types of software that we are using in our daily life. So as I said, like if there is a software, that software should be tested and properly tested. And until all the automated or manual testing is done, the software is released for the end users after testing. So here we discuss another slide about importance of software. Any questions so far on this slide so I can move forward? Okay, let me move forward. And in this slide, I will, before going into the discussion of software testing, I will give you a very high level overview of software, how a software is developed. So let's say a company, Bank of America, would like to develop a software. Let's say that software, that product is ABC website. Let's say Bank of America wanted to add another website, and that website is ABC website or application. In Bank of America, they should have some kind of representative, or he can act as a product owner. So basically, I will explain to you about product and project. So once we discuss all these things, I will help you to understand the product and project. What is the difference between product and project? So let's say Bank of America would like to add another product on their uh, in their system, and that product name is ABC website or application. And they ask their representative to look for a software company who can develop that software. So let's say that representative name is Andrew from Bank of America. We have a software company or house. We develop, we test, we deliver quality product to a end user. Let's say our end user is Bank of America. So our company name is Ideal ID Pro. And once this representative Andrew connect with us, with our company, we should have a team who can develop, who can test, who can gather information from Andrew or representative. So the very first person in our team would be a project manager. So project manager, let's say his name is John. He will coordinate with business analyst. So our team should have like 9 to 11 people in our team. One of them is project manager, the other person will be business analyst, who will sit with this person, representative from this company Bank of America, with project manager, and ask him to provide us some requirements, like what would you like on your website. Like, let's say this person said, okay, we need login, logout, we need registration portal, we need like uh, since this is a banking application, so we need a module where people can see their balance statement, spending statement, like withdrawals, all those things. So once the project manager, business analyst gather information or requirements, they will discuss with the team. Now we will have to see who is the other team member. Like project manager, business analyst, we discussed, like project manager is the manager who can lead the project, whatever we have a project. So project is basically, our project is to develop ABC website, but for that company it is a product. So what is the difference between product and project? If you are developing a specific, if you are developing a specific thing for a small number of people, that could be called as a project. But if you are developing something for a bigger number of population, that could be a product. So for this company, this website is a product. But for you, as for your team, it's just a single application, not a, I would say, like as a team, you can use that product for large number of people. Like let's say you are 9 to 11 people in the team, so you will be responsible to develop to analyze, to test, and develop that and deliver that application to the company. For that company, this will be called as product, but for you, it act as a project. So let's say you gathered all the information, business analyst wrote all the information, and that document we will call a business requirement document, BRD. We will discuss in details later on. So after that, your project manager and your business analyst will discuss these all requirements with you, like team members. So who is in the team member? Developers and testers. So we would have a lot of team meetings, like every day you worked as 9 to 5 8 hours job. So probably you would see in the initial stage of project, you could have like 6 hours spent on team meetings just to discuss like what should we um, develop first, what should we develop in the second phase. So the team members give their inputs. As a software tester, let's say they ask you, okay, could you provide us some um, inputs on testing? So you would have to some say something like, okay, if we develop login and logout functionality first, that it would be a better if we develop, instead of developing checkout and check-in functionality. So in team meeting, you will discuss and prioritize the requirements. Let's say your representative or product owner give you 100 requirements, but you are not able to develop 100 requirements in the same time. So you will prioritize those requirements, like let's say high priority, medium, low priority. So you will prioritize those requirements, and after that, your project manager and business analyst provide those requirements to the developers, not you. Your job is still just to understand the requirements. During this time, starting from getting the requirements to develop that functionality or prototype, your job is to just read and understand the requirements. Let's say developer develop a prototype, not a final product, just a sample product or sample functionality. The developer will ask you, okay, as a software tester, now you could start your testing. First of all, what you will do the manual testing. So let's say you are hired as a manual tester. So you will start manual testing just to manually check the website login, log out functionality is working, uh, using different software testing techniques. Like if I use the valid username, what could be a end result? So software tester will test the application. Let's say you are hired as an automation tester, you will automate the process using different tools. Let's say they not ask you to do manual automation testing, they just ask you to do 5-way testing. So 5-way testing is nothing but accessibility testing. I will explain to you what exactly we do in the 5-way testing, in our 5-way testing discussion. But it's just a 5-way testing is accessibility testing. Let's say if a person is visually impaired, like he cannot see the screen, how he can use that application? So we have to test as a visually impaired person by using different tools. So that testing will be called as 5-way testing. So your job basically starts here. Your job is not to get the requirements. Your job is not to uh, conversate with the representative. Your job is not to develop or code the product or features. Your job is to test whether develop the product as per the requirements or not. That is your prime job responsibility. Let's say the developers develop that functionality, you test, and you deliver some feature to the owner. Out of 100 uh, out of 100 features, you just develop three or 4 features, and you deliver those features to the owner that we have developed, we have tested, and now you can test or use that functionality. So this is basically high level overview just to understand, like, if you are working on a project, how a project is kicked off or started, how a project is basically coming from different companies who want to get a new software. So who will get the requirements, who will um, communicate with the representative of that company, and what's your team look like as, and what's the different roles in your team. Like, some of a team members would be working as a developer, you work as a manual tester or automated tester or FIFO tester, and after that, let's say you worked on this product for 30 days. So in 30 days, what you deliver to the end product. So that is a basically high level overview of how a software is developed. So you would be a part of a project team, and whoever lead the project would be a project manager. So here in this screenshot, you could see here product manager or product owner basically provide some requirements, and who is writing those requirements? Business analyst. Once business analyst wrote that requirement, we discuss in the team meeting what should we develop first, what should we develop in the second phase. So UI UX designer, like user interface, user experience designer, are nothing but the developers. So they will develop the functionality, and here is your basically team. You are a tester. Let's say your team has 2 testers, 3 testers. So you will test first that functionality as a QA engineer. So QA engineer is nothing but a software tester. Once you test a software, you feel like you have tested all the application scenarios, then this application functionality, whatever you do out, will be delivered to the end user and they can use. So far, I would like to ask any question on this slide. I hope you guys understand the high level overview before we get into the details of the software testing. Like, once you get a job, how your team would be, like structure of your team. So any question on this slide? Okay. So before going into the details of the job, software testing job, I would like to give you a high level overview. Once you get a QA job or software tester job, who will be in your team? As I mentioned in previous slide, you would be a part of 9 to 11 people. You can work as a remote, like 100% remote, working from home. Probably your company or your product manager ask you to work 3 days, 2 days from office and 2 to 3 days from home, and that would be called as hybrid or 100% on-site job. You have to travel every day to the company location, and you have to do job 9 to 5. So in each software team, there are basically 9 to 11 people. Out of 9 to 11 people, you would be a part of that team. So whoever act as a product owner, I think somebody is not is on. Can you unmute yourself? Let me check who is not mute. Zishan and Zohair. Could you mute yourself? Thank you. Okay. So once you get a job, you would be a part of 9 to 11 people in your team. One of them will act as a product owner, probably company's representative. But in some companies, the product owner we don't consider as a part of the team because they just come in some important meetings and they provide their inputs, and they they are not worried about what you guys are testing or developing. They just get an information and provide to their company. So I just added here because in interview they could ask you, okay, how many people in your team? So you should know like how many people in your team. You should have some kind of um, knowledge about who can be a part of the team. So product owner, a company's representative would be a part of the team, but your actual team would comprise of these people like project manager. In industry, we call it as a scrum master. I will help you to understand what is scrum, and we will discuss in details project manager job and responsibilities. One of your team member could be a solution architect. So solution architect is a kind of development developer lead who can provide his insight like what could be a software design, what could be a software UI like user interface. It, so he will provide his expertise on design of the software, who will write and get the information about the requirements from the product owner is a business analyst. This is a completely a different job. So business analyst job is to get the requirement, refine the requirements, prioritize the requirements. That's all his. He is not involved in developing and testing. So business analyst, once you complete this course, software testing, you would be able to apply for the business analyst job. We will help you to understand the what are the different job and responsibilities of business analyst. Your team could have 3 to 4 developers. As I mentioned, your team should have on 9 to 11 people. So out of 9 to 11 people, there could be 3 to 4 developers. Some developer will work as a front end developers, like they will only develop the front end functionality, but some will be working as a back end. So let's say from the data point of view, you cannot see all the data on front end. There is a lot of data in the back end that you cannot see on front end. You can only see that data using different softwares. That software we will discuss SQL, like structured query language, where we use different commands to get that data from the backend. And those developer known as DBAs, like database administrators. So in your team, there could be 3 to 4 developers. Some will develop the front end functionality, some will develop and maintain the data in the back end. Out of 9 to 11 people, there could be 2 to 3 testers in your team. You would be one of the tester, like manual tester, automation tester, FIFO tester, performance tester, UAT tester. Let's say your company hired you as a manual tester. So what you will do, let's say we have a requirement, this screenshot should display stakeholder and this image. Your job is to just verify whether this uh, application has stakeholders and this image. That's it. This is a manual inspection or manual testing. Let's say you have a requirement after stakeholder, your website should display product owner, and product owner should display on the top of the product owner, there should be an image, dummy image. So your job is to just find is product owner is displaying, the spellings are correct, image is displaying, image has like not blurry, is a visual image. So your job is to just verify manually product owner is displaying. Similar to this thing like Scrum Master sprint, and this sprint should displays something like this. the circle, and the complete page should display the title Agile Project Team. This is a manual testing. Let's say you are hired as a automation testing. So once you see stakeholders, so this stakeholders have some kind of data in the backend. So you have to check whether stakeholder code is properly developed, or this image is not this. Let's say we have a requirement, this image the person had should display blue color, but right now it is displaying yellow or pink color. So let's say you find that this is not as per the expectation or requirements. You have to check in the code why this is displaying a different color. That job need a coding experience. So that tester role would be a automated tester, automation tester. Let's say you are hired as a FIFO tester. FIFO tester is nothing but an accessibility tester. Let's say a person is color blind. He cannot see red, green, and blue color. So how, as a FIFO tester, you would be able to figure out what this is a web page. So on this web page, you are checking color blindness functionality. You will use a tool. We will call it as Andy. Andy will tell you this color is not meeting up to the expectation, and color blind people cannot see this color. So you have to notify your team like this color is failing the 508 criteria. You should have to fix this. So in 508 testing, we just check the functionality, whether this the person who has any accessibility, any kind of they need assistive technology, whether they can use this project product or website or not. That's your prime job as a FIFO tester. Let's say you are not doing manual testing, automation testing, FIFO testing. You're just doing performance testing. Performance mean, let's say you um, just searching any website, and that website is taking like 2 minutes to load, and once you click on any web page, it's taking another 2 minutes. So that will affect the project or product performance. Your job is to see which web page is basically, if 100 users are using that website, whether this is working as expected and loading in very like 5 second, 10 second, 15 seconds. So your job is to figure out like how many millisecond or minutes the each web page is working, and the links are working, all those things as a performance. So you have to check as a performance of the website. You are not worried about the manual automated fiber testing. Similar to like that, let's say some team roles are just as to use as an end user. That user or that testing is called as UAT testing, user acceptance testing. You act, you are working in the team, but you are acting as an end user who will use once the functionality or the website is developed. Your job is to just act like an end user and test the application. You are not worried about developing any test case or automate or check the accessibility. You just randomly click on login, log out, functionality, all those things, and just check whether it is working as expected as per the requirement or not. So some team, just some project you could have working as a UAT tester. This is very easy job, but it needs some kind of expertise to act like a UAT tester. So this is the high level overview of your team once you get a job. Who will do the requirement gathering, and this is a very important question in your interview. Like, if you have not worked in IT field, you don't know who is working with you. So probably someone can ask you, okay, how many people are you in your team? So you should have to tell like we are 9 people, 9 to 11 people, or let's say you just say like we are 9 people. So out of nine, you have to tell like we have a product owner, project manager, three developer, two we are three testers. Like don't say like this we have 3 to 4 developers. You have to complete this number, 9. So you should have some kind of idea in your mind before answering this question. So this is a very high level overview. Once you get a QA job or software tester job, your team would look like this, 9 to 11 people. So any question on this slide before we move forward?
Okay, I have a question, Akhtar. This is 508 tester.
Mhm.
So if you are, let's say, a manual tester, so can you do that you can perform 508 tester as well?
Very good question. In some team, they hired you as a manual tester first,
Mm-hmm.
but later on, they think like we have completed our manual tester. One of the tester is working as automation tester. They will move you to the FIFO position.
Mm-hmm.
They will ask you, okay, because you have expertise on FIFO testing, you don't need to worry about the manual tester. Probably automated automation tester would do the manual tester. You just focus on the FIFO testing. That's it.
Mm-hmm. So it means that in one project, so
Your
there
role
are.
can be shifted, and it,
Mm-hmm.
it would not be a free shifting, I would say. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
you are hired as a manual tester on 80,000. Once they
Mm-hmm.
ask you for the FIFO testing, probably they will
Mm-hmm.
increase 20,000 more dollars on your yearly
Okay.
salary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Akhtar bhai. So, okay, so to enter into that testing, I mean, enter into that field, especially as a tester.
Mhm.
So, the very first basic step is you have to do the manual testing, right?
Yes. You should have
Then,
knowledge of manual testing before
mhm,
any kind of software testing.
hmm.
If you
So
don't know
this
the
is the
basics,
basic.
this is the basic.
Mm-hmm.
Manual testing is the
Mm-hmm.
basic.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know the manual testing, you just started from automation, FIFO, performance testing, you cannot move forward, I would say.
Yeah, I cannot do that.
Yes.
It's the same kind of class. You have to pass the primary, and then you have to go to secondary, and
This
then
is
you
the
have to move upward.
primary,
Yeah.
yes, this is the primary
Yeah.
uh, thing. You should have
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of manual
Yep.
testing. Then it would
Mm-hmm.
be, let's, so I can give you an example. Once you finish this course, you
Mm-hmm.
should learn 100% of the manual testing. And after the once you finish this job, once you finish this course, very next day you would be able to start with automation testing. Side by
Mm-hmm.
side,
Sure.
we will teach you the FIFO testing.
Sure.
So you would
Mm-hmm.
be comfortable to apply for three different jobs: manual testing, FIFO testing, UAT testing. But once
Gotcha.
you get some more information on coding, your job is to apply for the automation testing. So manual is compulsory to get
Mm.
started with the software testing.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Any question from Muhammad, Dr. Sajjad, Zohair, who is Zishan? Any question from you guys?
Basically, the manual testing is important. The
Yes.
first we have to know the manual.
Yes. You should have to know the manual testing first, then you can get your experience on automation. But we will teach you the FIFO as well.
Okay.
Yes. So as I said, like this is completely a theoretical class. We are not doing any practical. Just I'm trying to explain the importance of software testing, just to help you to understand like what this job is basically related to. what kind of knowledge we need to acquire before get started with the software testing. So now in this slide, we will discuss what is software testing. We already know, learned about what is software, what are the different types of software, what is their importance. Now we will learn what is software testing. So basically, from this slide, we started our manual testing training. So software, once we develop a software, another approach to test that software is known as software testing. So software testing is basically a part of software development life cycle or process. And that life cycle or process is known as SDLC. This is a very important question in your interview. They will ask you, okay, could you explain software development life cycle and what are the different phases of software development life cycle? In next slide, I will explain what are the different levels of software or phases of software development life cycle. But before that, I would like to explain here what is the basic purpose to do a software testing. So software testing is an activity to detect and identify the defect in the software. Let's say you develop a software, but that software is not developed as per the product owner requirement. So your job is to detect. Let's say we have a requirement, the login functionality. So login functionality, the user should be able to log in with valid username and password. Your job is to test different scenario. So for different scenario, you have to log into that application. I can briefly take you in our website that we basically develop for you guys to test. So this is our idealidpro.com. So let me log out. Okay. I hope you guys can see my screen and this website. Can anybody confirm?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say you get a job as a manual tester and they give you this application to test. So your project manager will ask you, okay, Vikas, Zohair, you can test this functionality today, login functionality. So what you will do, you just log in, you just uh, search this URL, because let's say you don't know what's the URL of the functionality or the address of the website. So they will provide you the um, address of the functionality or the website. Once you log in, so your job is to just test the login functionality, not about us, contact us, our services, training, all those things. So let's say you are just testing this functionality. Okay. So first of all, what you will do, you would test different scenario. Let's say you just type A here and password just one here and click on login. Once you log in, if the system allow you to log in with just putting A and password one, then this is a defect. This is an error. If system should not display the error, then it's a defect. So what you will do, you will just take a screenshot of that error, something like that, and add the details of that functionality or error. Let's say you paste in the paint and you just type here, okay, once I log in here, system is allowing me to log in using username as A and password as one. So this is the detail of the software, but we will help you to understand how to write a detailed description of the issue. So once you take a screenshot and add that information with that screenshot, what you will do, you will send this screenshot to your developer. So he need that information to recreate this issue. So what he will do, he will just go inside the details of the code and fix that issue and ask you to retest. So let's say he asks you, okay, I fixed the issue, can you retest? Okay, you will go again and put your valid username, password, and once you click on login, system should allow you to log in to the system. So this is a manual testing, but you don't know what the code is on the back of this login functionality. So once you know the automated process or automation testing, you can only test that functionality as an automated tester. But as a manual tester, your job is to just whatever you can see on the web page is your job to test that functionality. You don't need to worry about the coding. You don't need to worry about the details. So let's say I can show you quickly the code for this login functionality. So you would be having some interesting things on this one. So this is the code in the backend. I know this is very confusing for you at this time, but whoever developed this functionality, from login functionality, this is the code for entire page. And at this time, you are not able to understand this code. But as an automated tester, if I see this code, I understand this code. And you, as an automated tester, you don't need to write all these things manually. The software tester automated tools do this. You have to just some provide inputs for this code. So this is a high level overview of software manual testing and automated tester. So I will go here now. So what is software testing? So software testing is nothing just to detect and identify the defect in the software. Objective of testing is to release quality product. Let's say you delivered a website or product to your client, buggy software, and I already told you there if you deliver a buggy product, that will lose the confidence of your company over the different stakeholders. So you need expertise on software testing. You should have some experienced software tester in your team to test the software, because if software is buggy and delivered to the end client, probably they will not ask you they will not ask developers why this is so buggy. Your job is to figure out like what are the defects in the software. So who do the software testing? So in a team, probably you would not be a single person to do the software testing. Sometimes the primarily software tester are doing the software testing. Like software tester, also we call it as QA analyst, quality assurance analyst, manual tester, automated tester, system engineer, FIFO tester, API application programming interface tester, performance tester. Your prime job is working as a software tester, but who are the other people in your team who can do software testing? Not thorough testing, I would say. You would be responsible for the thorough testing. Once the software developer develop a functionality, they do a quick testing, and that testing is called as unit testing. Let's say they develop. I can take you an example of this website again. Let's say whoever developed this functionality, home functionality, they just check the home functionality is working, just doing like something like this. They will not go in the details of the home functionality. That testing is known as unit testing, just to see whether I develop uh, a good code and the functionality is working, then they will ask you as a software tester, okay, you can start your thorough testing. So you would be able to start with the thorough testing, like uh, having different success criteria like valid username, invalid username, valid password with invalid password username. These are the different test scenarios you would try to test that software. So as a software tester, you are not worried about the unit testing. I just mentioned here that as a software tester, some other people can do the software testing, but for if you talk about the thorough testing, you would be responsible for the thorough testing, but sometimes software developer do the testing, project or test lead or test manager do the software testing, and as I mentioned, a type and user like UAT tester, sometimes they do the software testing. So software is tested at multiple levels. In a team level, probably software developer is doing some kind of testing. You are doing thorough testing. Your project manager is doing some kind of testing. Let's say you don't have time to test any functionality. Probably your project manager or test lead asks you, okay, I will test the this functionality. You should not worry about this one. So in a team, different people do the software testing, but if you talk about thorough testing, starting from like end to end, A to Z, that's your primarily software tester responsibility. And your job could be a QA analyst, manual tester, automation tester, system engineer tester, FIFO API, and many more. We will discuss in our um, upcoming slides. So I will stop here and ask you if you have any question.
Uh, so basically, we have more than one team lead in a project, because one team lead is for the developer side, and then one team lead on the testing side as well, right?
That's correct.
Mhm.
As a software tester, one person could act as a test lead. Who will be the senior level? He will act as a test lead. But
Mhm.
on the developer side, wh- whoever the senior developer who joined this project in early stage, so he will act as a software lead developer.
So who is doing the thorough testing? I mean, the one who is the team lead, or the one
Mhm.
anybody can perform that thorough testing who is willing
So
voluntarily.
yeah, thorough testing is the primarily responsibility of a software tester, not a project lead. Test lead just only test the major functionality. I can give you an example of this website here. So let's say this is a website you are about to test. Your team lead, okay, let's say you are working on contact us page. You are testing this one, but you don't have time today to test the home. So your team will lead will ask you, okay, I can help you to test the home. You should not worry about the home, but you can focus on the contact us. So what
Mhm.
you will do the thorough testing of this one, but you should not worry about home today. But later on, let's say tomorrow or after 1 week, your lead asks you or your project manager asks you, okay, could you do, if you have time, could you start with the thorough testing of home module?
Mhm.
So ultimately, the thorough testing is your job. Test lead just
Mhm.
oversee or monitor your work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there will be a um, double testing on it as well, because you do the thorough testing and then somebody again have a check on you, right?
I would not
Or
confuse
no?
you on thorough testing and test lead responsibilities. So, test lead you could imagine as some kind of monitor or the manager kind of
Mhm.
job. But thorough testing, ultimately, whoever is testing or developing, ultimately, we are delivering the same product to the customer, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
if you are a tester, you are not completely responsible for this product delivery. Your project manager, your business analyst, your developer, you are as a tester, all are responsible to deliver a quality product. So
Mm-hmm.
once you work in a team, you should not you should not think about your job. You should have to think about all the team members' job. Let's say you are a tester. You did not test this login functionality well. Ultimately, who will affect your company,
Mm-hmm.
your team, all those. So you should have a mind, um, to test this functionality. Let's say if we deliver this product to the end customer and they are not able to use this product, ultimately who will affect? Your company, your team, your product manager, your developers, all. So in a team,
Mm-hmm.
you would work as a very in collaborative, I would say, uh, way where you communicate with your team every day and discuss all those things, all those issues with your team. So communication is the main thing once you land into the IT job.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask me to summarize the thorough testing and test lead functionality, I would say test lead have some kind of other assignments.
Mm-hmm.
He has to monitor the work, software tester work. He has to prepare some documentation, defect report, and lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, uh, in some team, the test lead will not offer you, okay, I will work on a home and you can work on the contactors. Probably they will ask you to do all kind of testing on the web page. They just oversee or monitor your work. That's it. So
Okay.
once you join a project as a manual tester beginner, after 2 to 3 years, you, if your performance is good, your team or your company will upgrade your role to the software test lead. It's not a, I would say, rocket science to become a software test lead. I hope you,
Okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
hope you get my point.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So in this slide, we will discuss why do we need software testing. Like we develop a software, but why do we need a software testing? Why do not we deliver that software without testing to the end customer? So we need a software testing to ensure that software is bug free. Bug is a IT term. You can say this bug as a defect, error, failure, anything. But if you say in your interview or in your team a bug, it could be a more, I would say, professional way to explain the defect. So you need to think about different IT terms. We will teach you in our later sessions. So we do the software testing to ensure that the software is bug free. Whatever we get the requirement from the customer or product owner, whether this software is built or developed on as per the customer requirements or not. That's your job, is to verify whether this software meets the customer requirements or not. We do the software testing to ensure that system meets end user expectation. End user are the real user. Let's say you are using Amazon website or application. So you are the end user. You are not part of the team who develop and test the software. So you are using a Amazon as an end user. Whether that website or application meets the expectation of end user or not, this is your job to verify. How you will verify? You just read the requirement. Let's say login. The system should allow the person to log in with valid username and valid password. This is the requirement. Your job is to verify different scenario, whether the participant or the person can log in with valid or invalid username and password, different scenarios. So your job is to test with different scenarios, whether this is meeting up to the expectation of end user or not. Let's say as I already mentioned, no software is 100% tested and bug free. But we can say like 99% or 98% we have tested different scenario and software is meeting up to the expectation. So let's say you found a bug or defect. Your job is to do why we need software testing. Your job is to identify the bugs, report that bugs to the developer, and see whether they fix the bug or code. And after fixing, you retest and you found that this function is working or this feature is working. So fixing the bugs identified after release is expensive. Let's say you delivered a product to the end user, buggy product, and your end user complain this functionality is not working. Why this was uh, identified as an end user? Why it was not identified by a software tester who tests this software? And that is very, I would say, bad impression of the company over the end user. And it is really expensive because once the end user complain that this functionality is not working, ultimately your company will be affected, your team will be affected, and it will be a really expensive because you have to start working from scratch like A to Z. You have to develop, fix, test, and release the product to the end user and ask them to test again. So we do the software testing to uh, ensure that fixing the bugs have been identified, the bugs have been identified and they have been fixed, and now the software is um, ready to use for the end user. And if end user find that issues, this is a really an expensive and bad impression on your team as well as your company. So in this slide, we discuss like why we need software testing. I hope you guys understand the importance of software testing in this slide. Any question? You can ask me a question in the chat. We will discuss after the class. And after 20 minutes, we will take a break of 15 minutes. Then we will get started. Okay. So in this slide, we will discuss. This is completely a theoretical one. Uh, Probably this could be a interview question just to analyze. You know about the basics of software testing. You don't need to be worried, and you don't need to uh, recall this step by step. You just need to know about the basics of the software. So software testing principles we will discuss in this slide. So these are the principles, seven principles, basically the software testing principles that are currently uh, we are using in software industry. So these principles shows like why do we why do we need software testing, and when we should start the software testing, and what it could be impact on the project. So I will try to explain these seven factors or seven principles that are known as software testing principle. Probably someone can ask you in an interview question, but in once you start your job, you would not never see this seven principle. You just learn these seven principle with your daily life. So these seven principles, the number one is testing shows the presence of defects. What does this mean? This means like once you test a software, it is not possible to deliver 100% accurate software to the end user. We can say like 99% we tested all those things. So once you do a testing, it means you should find some defects or error or bugs in the software. So once you do the software testing, it shows that there should be there could be presence of defects. Not a single software is a 100% software tested and accurate as per the end user or the client requirements. And testing shows the principle of defects. After that, we should have a mind to think about this one. Exhaustive testing is impossible. What does this mean? Exhaustive testing mean 100% testing of all the features is impossible. Probably we can say like we have tested this home functionality end to end, like starting from this node to end of this page. But we cannot say like we have tested everything 100% on this home functionality. So exhaustive testing is nothing but just this mean like 100% testing is impossible. We can say like we have tested 80%, 90% our web application, but we cannot say like 100% we have tested this application and it is 100% working. No. So this is the second principle in software testing. The third principle you should have in your mind, like once you develop a software, if you start early testing mean once you are developing the software, it is not released for the end user to use, and you tested and you found bugs and you fixed. It would be highly recommended that you should have early testing before it came any defect came from the end user. So early testing is beneficial if you talk about early testing uh, and compare with the end user testing. So let's say you have delivered the product and your product is not working as per expectation. That will uh, put a bad impression on your performance as well as your company and your team. So early testing, if you do the early testing, it would be highly recommended as well as beneficial for your project and your team. Defect clustering. Defect clustering is nothing. Let's say you find 4 bugs in your software. So those 4 defects, you should have the knowledge to prioritize. Let's say login, if login functionality is not working, how you can use that web application? So you need to defect cluster, like you need to prioritize those defects. First, we will fix the login functionality, then we will fix the other functionality home, and then we will fix the contacts. Because if a person is not able to log in, how he can see the details of the other application features? So you should have the knowledge of defect clustering. Like once you find a defect, let's say you find 5 defects. Out of 5, how many are very important, like high priority, low priority, medium priority? You should have the knowledge to prioritize those defects. That principle is known as defect clustering. Pesticide paradox is basically a similar functionality to the defect paradox. Paradox is basically related to the prioritization of the defects. Like if the high priority functionality is not working, how we can expect the low priority should work? So that prioritization of the defects or bugs is basically a pesticide paradox. Number 6, we are discussing this testing is a context dependent. So I would go here and I will give you an example of testing is context dependent. Let's say your manager or your test lead asks you to um, test a login functionality, but you are testing this functionality and in terms of registration portal. So this functionality or this principle is basically a testing is context. Whatever you are testing, you should have the context of that functionality. Like if you are testing a login functionality, so login functionality is nothing just to test you whether the system is accepting valid username or email or password. You should not worry about the home or training or other services while testing this functionality. You should be specific to the that module. You should not worry about the other modules at that time, whether this student portal is working integrated with the home or training. You should not worry. So that module or that principle is like you should be specific to a specific content or specific uh, functionality. You should work. And number seven is absence of error fallacy. Basically, this is a myth like each software is 100% tested and 0.0% uh, has a chances it has bug. We cannot say that. So you should not have you should not assume that this software is 100% tested, everything is working fine 100%. You should not tell your project manager that I have tested 100% functionality of this software. You can say like I have tested the software or website, and I ran like 40, 50, 60 scenarios, different scenarios, and I tested. And as per my testing, I can say that this functionality is working as expected. But you should not say like that. I have tested 100% and 100% this software is working as per the expectation. So these software principle basically telling us once you test a software, you should test the software by keeping in mind that once I test, I should find some defects, and I cannot find 100% defect of the software. If I do the early testing, it would be highly appreciated in your team and recommended. But if the end user find that could affect my company reputation and even my team. Once I've found two, three, four, five, or 10 defects, I should have knowledge to prioritize, because without prioritization you cannot like uh, do the defect clustering or pesticide paradox. And once I test a functionality, I should focus on that functionality. I should remain to that context of the functionality. And once I found that defect, it doesn't mean like and the developer fixed that functionality. It doesn't mean like your software is 100% bug free. 100% testing is impossible. But at least once you test the software thoroughly, you can say like 99% I tested the software, and I can say like I have ran 40 test cases, 60 test cases, and as per my expertise, I can say like 99% I have tested, and this functionality of this software is working as per the requirement, whatever we receive from the product owner. So I hope you guys understood these seven principles. That mean like what what to test, where to test, how to prioritize the defects, how to communicate with the team, and how to say like this is not 100%, but we can say 99% the software is tested by me or my team. So any question on these seven testing principles? Because I will I will ask you guys randomly.
Mhm.
Any question?
That defects clustering actually that is basically because we partitioned our project in many different subgroups.
Mhm.
So it means that there are the equal time ratio between each and every phase, or there are some, like, let's say, in the first phase we have 1 week time, for the second phase we have 2 weeks time.
Mhm.
Is that the same time we have to divide in the same time frame, or there are different time frames in our clustering?
So once you will work in your team,
Mm-hmm.
your project will be divided into releases. I can give
Mm-hmm.
you an example of this thing. Okay, your project duration is 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal is to develop 100 features of the software. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you will prioritize those features. Let's say you prioritize out of 100, we will deliver 50 features in six
Mm-hmm.
months. Okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
6 months and 50 feature in the second phase.
Mm-hmm.
Project duration will be 1 year. Okay, out of 50 feature, now I will talk about the 50 feature that you will develop in 6 months. Okay, out of 50 features, 6 months you will divide these feature in divide 50 by 6. So let's say in each month you have to develop 8 features. Okay, I hope this will help you to understand. So 8 feature per month. Okay, so in IT job you would see 1 month is divided into 2 sprints.
Mm-hmm.
Sprint is basically nothing but a timeline of 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2 weeks, 8 feature will be developed and tested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in this partition, we see like our project duration is 1 year. We are giving 100 feature. Out of 100, we will develop 50 feature in 6 months. Every month, we will develop and test 8 feature and deliver to the end user. 8 feature every month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And is there more than one project going on at the same time?
Okay. You would be the member of only one project.
Mm.
Let's say your company is ABC. Probably
Mm.
they could have 5 projects at the same time running,
Mm.
but you would be the part of only one project.
Got you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, your company will never ask you to help you on 3 projects, 4 projects, because it's
Mm.
highly impossible for a single person to understand and test all the feature of 3 projects. Every project is
Mm.
different. Every website, every application is different.
Right.
So every month you would have 2 sprints. Let's say your
Mm-hmm.
sprint one started today, like
Mm.
8/26. After 10 days, after 15 days, your sprint two will start. Okay.
Mm.
Now I will try to explain here. In sprint one, your project manager will give you requirements to understand. You will not start testing because in this sprint one, developers are developing or coding the functionality. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What you will do in this first sprint, like in first 15 days, what you will do? You just
Mm-hmm.
read the requirement,
Mm-hmm.
understand the requirement, and probably your project manager will ask you to summarize and summarize these requirements. Whatever you understand, you just send a summary of the understanding.
Mm.
Your job will start in sprint 2. Let's say in first sprint, developer develop the functionality, and in sprint 2, they will ask you to test the functionality. Now you will do what you will do. You will test the functionality, find the bugs.
Mhm.
Once you find the bug, you will ask developer to fix the bug, and
Mm.
developer once they fix, they will ask you to retest the bug. This is your job.
Mm.
This is your job.
Okay.
That's it.
Mm.
Your job is to find the bugs, ask developer to fix the bug, and once you retest the bug, let's say you retest and it pass, you
Mm.
just send a detailed summary or detailed report to your project manager, PM, that I have tested, I found these bugs, I asked developer to fix these bugs, I retest and pass, and this is my report. By
Mm.
your project manager will ask you, okay, could you send me weekly or bi-weekly report?
Mm.
So that's your job.
Okay.
This is our final goal to understand you, what's your job look like, as how you will find the
Mm.
bugs, how you will
Mm.
communicate with the developer to fix, how you will retest, what criteria you will apply to pass and fail the defects,
Mhm.
how to send a
Mhm.
defect report, how to send a report to your project manager, and what's your team look like as. Basically,
Okay.
my goal is to understand you guys this concept.
Mm.
That's it.
Gotcha.
I hope
Thank you.
you guys understand all these things. Any question
Yeah.
from the other team?
So basically, we have to find the bugs
Yes.
and send the developer to fix the bug.
Yes. Once they fix,
Okay.
they will ask you, okay, Zishan, could you retest this one, whether I fix correctly or not? You will retest. If you will apply different criteria, like how to test, how to retest. So we will teach you how to retest, how to test. So once you feel like this is pass, you, you will send a detailed report of your testing activities to your project manager or your team lead, and that's it.
Mm.
It's your job,
Okay.
nothing else. You are not worried about that coding. You are not worried about the requirement, whether it is written correctly or incorrectly. Your job is to
Mhm.
find the bugs, fix, ask developer to fix the bug, retest, pass. If fail, then again send back to the developer.
Mm.
Okay.
Unless it pass. Once pass, it's mean your feature is ready to uh, deploy for the end user to use.
Mm.
That's it. That's your job.
All right.
All right. So let's take a 15 minutes break. We
Mhm.
will start at 1:15. You guys can pray or drink water or take a lunch. So we will again start at 1:15, and for next 45 minutes, I will get started with some other things related to the software development lifecycle and
Mhm.
some other information related to FIFO testing. Because today, my goal is to enroll you for the FIFO testing certification as well. Because once you have that certification, this is free of cost. You should have to spend some time on that certification. Once you have that certification, I can guarantee you, you can get just a FIFO tester job,
Mhm.
having this manual testing job, like
Mm.
above 90,000 per year job. So there are a lot of FIFO tester job at this time. So you should get that certification. This is free of cost and from the government. So once
Mm.
you add that certification on your resume, it will
Mm.
highly make your resume visible to the recruiters to
Mhm.
call you and pick you as a candidate for specific job. So I will uh, tell you how to register, help you on registration as well. and discuss
Mhm.
some more concepts on software development lifecycle. So we will get back at 1:15 again.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any
Thank you.
question from anyone, or you can ask me in chat. I will definitely answer that question. All right. So we will be online. We are not disconnecting this. We will be in touch after 15 minutes. Thank you. All right, I think we can get started. Is everybody on the call?
Yes, please.
Okay, just
Yes, please.
just raise your hand, like so I can see like everybody is on the call. You can select. You can click on this one. Okay. So before we move forward, we have a question from Zuhair. How many interview does a QA tester job have? Okay. To be honest, it's depend upon your luck, upon your expertise, on your uh, skills, as well as your understanding on software testing concepts. You can get your QA job in your very first interview, I would say. But if you are applying for automation testing, probably they can ask you to have another interview session uh, with the team lead or project manager. They will just assess your technical skills. Probably they can ask you to write a code if you are applying for automation testing job. For manual testing, I see most of the people get their job offer in very first interview. So it depends upon the company, your interviewer who is conducting your interview. So if you explain well and you prove yourself that like you know the basics of software testing, they will definitely offer you a job in your first interview. But for some automation jobs, probably they can conduct a technical round of interview. In first interview, they will ask you the basics of software testing, but in the next interview, probably 2 or 3 days after, they will ask you, okay, can we uh, sync on video call and you can write some code or we can ask you some more questions. So that could be a scenario for automation testing. But if you ask me to talk about the five-way testing, manual testing, API testing, performance testing, most of the cases I see people get their job interview in first interview, or once you apply for the job, you appear in the interview. After your interview is done, you should ask your recruiter to provide you some interview feedback from the interviewer or client, and they will clearly tell you like, okay, they selected you or they selected another candidate. That's the um, criteria basically I observed in my experience as a software tester. So Zahir, I hope I answered your question. Okay. All right. So we can get started with the software development lifecycle. So as we discuss software development lifecycle, we learn about software importance, their examples. Now we are trying to start with the real-time uh, manual testing knowledge, or you could say like basic knowledge of software development lifecycle. Software development lifecycle is basically a lifecycle or process used by the different software industry or software company to design, develop, and test high quality software. So, as we mentioned, once your company receive a project from any other product company, your project is going to be kick off or initiate. So basically, your software development lifecycle start from this project kickoff. Once you um, get a job and your company get a new project, so the project manager kick off the project once they receive the requirements from the product owner. So what they will do, they will conduct different meetings, team meetings. So you will be the part of that meeting. So the very first phase of the software development lifecycle is to get the requirement and analyze the requirement. So let's say you, as I mentioned in my previous example that I try to explain here, you'd see your company get a new project for 1 year. You are the part of the team, and the product owner give you 100 feature that we need 100 feature in 1 year. So what you will do in this 1 second. I can minimize this. Okay, so in requirement gathering and analysis phase, your team will conduct different meetings and they will prioritize those requirements and analyze those requirements. Like if we divide this project or feature into two phases, the phase one we will develop 50 features, and out of 50 features, which are high priority, which are low priority, which are medium priority. So in this phase, you will get the requirements, you will analyze the requirement, you will part of the team to analyze, gather, as well as to prioritize the requirements. And after that, the developer job is started. These requirements will be delivered to the developer who will design and code and develop those requirements. Let's say you have requirement, your product owner give you a requirement, something like this. Requirement number one, develop a login functionality. This is the requirement. So what you will do in your team, you will figure out like customer is asking us to develop a login functionality, and customer want us to develop a username field and password, and under username password there could be a button like submit, and in front of the submit button there could be a link or button forgot password. So this is the requirement number one, develop a login functionality, and under this functionality we should have a username. um, just give me a second. Okay, we should have a username, we should have a password, and we should have a submit button. So you will develop, your developer will develop the username, password, submit, forget password. Once you develop this functionality, they will ask you to test this one having different scenarios. So how you will test this scenario? Let's say you will test different scenarios, something like that. Scenario one, valid username and password. This could be a first scenario. Scenario two, valid username but invalid password. You will see that system response for different. Scenario 3, invalid username and valid password. Scenario 4, invalid password but valid username. Scenario 5, invalid password, invalid username. Scenario 6, valid username and valid password. I hope you guys understand these scenarios. These are very simple scenarios. This could be your job to test. That's it. Let's say you put the valid username and valid and in and invalid password. If system allow you to click on submit and do not populate any error here, it's mean your functionality or username password functionality has bug. You will take a screenshot, you will report to the developer to fix this one. Okay. If you think like scenario 1 is passed, how this will be passed? If you select valid username and invalid password, system should not allow you to log in. Okay. This will be the test case will be passed. So this each scenario is a test case. Test case is nothing but the step by step to process to test the functionality. So let's say this scenario pass. Okay. Once you put a valid username, invalid password, system does not allow you to log in and populate error under this field, whatever the incorrect field, this scenario is passed. It's mean functionality is working. But if you put the invalid username and valid password, a system allow you to log in, does not populate any, it's mean this is fail. This functionality is not working. The only valid scenario is this one. User should be able to log in only with the valid username and valid password. All other scenario would be negative scenario. So I will explain here a very simple term that we use in our daily life as a software tester: positive testing and negative testing. Very simple difference between these two, because this is the base of the software testing. Once you put the valid username and valid password, and system should allow you to log in. This is a positive testing. You as a tester should have a mind of negative testing, because without negative testing, you should not be a successful software tester. You should run negative testing scenarios as well. Starting from scenario 1 to 5th, sorry, yeah, 5th. These are all negative test cases. Negative mean you should have to test the functionality by to try to break the functionality, like valid username, invalid password, invalid username, invalid password, invalid username, valid password, something like this. Your daily job is to just do these two types of testing, apart from your basic knowledge about manual testing. So positive and negative testing are your daily routine on your real-time job. So this is a simple example of the software testing, how to test the functionality. You have a requirement, you create a different scenarios to test this username and password. Now I will go back here in software development lifecycle. You have been given the requirements. Your business analyst, project manager gather the information, analyze, prioritize, then your developer develop the code for that functionality. Your solution architect basically design the UI, like it could be, what color it could be, the functionality. So Here your job basically started at this phase, testing. Once requirement gather, analyze, design has been done, development has been done, developer will ask you to test. Once you start your testing, you will be following the software development lifecycle as well as software testing lifecycle. I will explain in our next slide another cycle that is only related to this phase. That is not related to all these. These stages are known as software development lifecycle. Once you test, you feel like I tested all the scenario and everything looks good as per the requirement we got from the product owner. You pass, everything pass, then it will be deployment mean it will be moved to for the real time user to use that functionality. Deploy mean we have moved the code, have moved the functionality to the next environment. Once your deployment has been done, you will send an email to your end user. Okay, we have developed, we have tested, we have deployed this feature, login functionality. Now you are good to go and use this functionality. And that phase is called as operation and maintenance. So this complete cycle that we ran for just only login functionality because we have only requirement number one. Let's say requirement 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 you are developing in 2 weeks. Same cycle will um, go again and again. Let's say you completed the first feature, you will start the working on the next feature, log out. You will see the requirement for the logout, analyze, design, develop, test, deploy. Here you go. Next, another feature. Feature number 3, 4, 5, 6. This cycle go again and again, again and again. In 15 days, by following this cycle, you would be able to develop 8 features. By following this cycle for the whole complete entire 365 days, you would be able to deliver 100 features to the end customer and your project duration will be completed and you would be more comfortable to say that in a year we develop 100 feature, in 6 months we develop 50 feature, every month we develop 50 features, 8 features. We develop, we tested, we analyze the requirement, we deploy, and end users are at this time using 100 features. So I hope you guys understand this requirement, starting from requirement gathering to analyze, design, development, testing, deployment, and operation and maintenance phases. So this complete cycle is known as software development lifecycle. Any question from Vikas, Zohair, Dr. Saab?
No, not
Um,
now.
I hope you guys understand these requirements.
Yes, after just tell me, is there any like interest-based issue that some company is doing this and we can develop this or not? Like some challenging task is there or not?
So uh, each phase has different challenges. Like requirement gathering is not a simple process. You should have the expertise to get the requirement. Analysis is not a simple task. You should have expertise to analyze the requirements, prioritize the requirements. Design is a you should have a specific expertise and challenges on design. But as a software tester, because we are not worried about requirement gathering, analysis, design, development, these are all other team members' role. Requirement gathering, analysis is the business analyst role. Design, development is the developer role. We should be worried or we should be focused on the testing. So in
Okay.
testing, what are the challenges? Let's say you I can talk about a simple challenge here just to understand. You should not have a clear requirement. Let's say your project manager just gives you, ask you, okay, uh, we have a requirement, develop a login functionality. Can you test? That's it. You are not aware of what this function login functionality should have. Like it should have a username, password, what it could be. So this is not a clear requirement. So this could be a challenging job for you. What you will do, you will communicate with your team or your project manager. Can you provide me a clear requirement? Because I don't know. You asked me to just test login functionality, but I don't know what this login functionality could have, like username, password, like login button, like forget password, something like that. So
Yes.
each phase has their own importance as well as some challenges. But the main thing is the communication. Let's say you are not sure for anything, whatever you are testing, you should ask developer, you should ask your business analyst if you need more details on requirements. If you want to know more about the coding thing, you should ask developer, you should ask the solution architect how you guys design this one. So anybody would be happy to help you on that one. So I hope I answered your question, sir.
Yes, thank you.
So this cycle will be repeated each time for the each functionality, and this cycle is known as SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle. Now I will go through this one. So software development lifecycle is a process used by software companies or industry to design, requirement gathering, analysis, design, develop, and test high quality software. Software development lifecycle aims to produce a high quality software, because if we delivered a low quality software, I already explained in our previous slides, is going to be a bad impression of your company, your team, as well as the risk of human life as well. So we discussed about product and project previously, but I just added another example of the project and product here just to understand. So product and project, what is the difference between these two terms? You would be a member of a project. So if a software application is developed for specific customer, let's say you are using Amazon website. So it's mean you are buying something, purchasing something from them. Probably you could be a seller, you could have a seller account, you are selling something. So it's mean there is a specific requirement buying or selling. So if that software application is developed for a specific customer requirement, or from the, let's say we discuss about the Bank of America example. Bank of America would like to develop a new website for their users. So for you, it act as like a project for the specific requirements you receive from Bank of America. You will analyze, design, develop, test, deploy, and like go again and again. But if the software is developed for multiple customers, let's say you develop Amazon websites. For you, it as a team, it is a project. But for the company, Amazon, it is a product. So if that software application is developed for multiple customer requirements, then it is called a product. All triple W or the worldwide website application, social media websites are products, like Amazon.com, like eBay.com, like Facebook.com, WhatsApp. All those are the products from some companies. Like Facebook own um, WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is a product for Facebook. But once you work on the WhatsApp features or uh, uh, requirements and develop, test all those things, for you it could act like a project. So personal apps, programs. These are all projects. So you would be a member of the project team, not a product team. So product team would be a higher level team who will oversee your project. So this is a basic difference between product and project. So let's say this could be a question in your interview. What is the duration of your project? So someone, especially the Indian interviewer, will ask you some tricky question like, okay, um, what's your product team look like as? So you should not confuse both terms, project and product. So you can say that like I have worked on this project and for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and I was a part of this team as a software tester, manual tester, automation tester, or something like that. So these are basically two common IT terms, product and project. I hope you guys understood this concept as well. Any question on this slide so I can move forward? Okay. So this is a brief introduction about the software development lifecycle phases. So this is a very important interview question. Someone can ask you, could you tell me the phases of software development lifecycle? So on internet or on different websites, probably you could see 6 phases. Some people categorize this software development lifecycle as 5 phases. Sometimes they just mix up the planning and requirement analysis as a phase one. But whatever you choose, basically the same thing. So the number one phase should be a planning. Let's say you receive a business requirement, you will plan what should we develop, how we prioritize, and all those things. So in planning phase, what you do, your team do, they assess the business value. Like you have 100 features, how many feature would be uh, business value, impacted value, how, what will be the project cost. All those things are discussed in the planning phase. Return on investment, ROI, project plan. Your project manager with your team basically plan how we will take this project, and how we'll figure out the different phases of the projects, how we will develop, how we will test. All those documentation phases or the process happening in the planning phase. After planning, your team will do the analysis. Like business analysts work with project manager, product owner, gather requirements, gather more information on the requirements. He will prepare the requirement documents and what could be the system inputs and the functions we would have in our project. Let's say planning analysis phase is completed, then every team should have a solution architect who are who are having expertise in making the website pages and their design, all those things. So they will basically compile a document, design specification document. They will use different tools to design the website. Requirements will be broken down to modules. Modules are the pieces. Let's say you have a website having different functionality. I can give you an example of our website. So our website have home module, training module, our services, about us, contact us. So these all modules are not developed and tested at the same time. We took some time to test and develop home. We took some time to training our services, about us, and all those things. So when we provide our requirement to the company who developed this software, we give them requirement for the home, that home should display this image. After that, this detail should display, and on the left and right side the WhatsApp icon should display here, chat icon should display uh, in the middle of the page, our courses should display, and what courses should display, what time should display, and the footer or bottom what should display. So we have provided them different requirements. So these chunks or these pieces of the software functionality, these are all features. So these features are known as modules. So once they design our website, they broke our features into modules. Like complete, we provided them complete documentation, they broke them into the modules. Then in the design phase, they do the functional planning. So once the development and planning, analysis, design has been done, development phase is started. So now the developer will code in the backend and develop the front end features. So in development phase, they design specific, they have design document from the solution architect and develop components like features, and components are integrated to complete system unit testing. So once we provided them, in the first week they just deliver home feature to us. In the second week they develop and tested the training features. In third week, our services. Fourth week, about us. So the developer job started basically in the development phase. In the fifth stage, testing, and I mentioned here SDLC. This is little bit different from SDLC. SDLC is nothing but a software testing lifecycle. SDLC is part of the SDLC, software development lifecycle. You should not confuse this one. This phase is only happening in testing phase. So this phase is basically we will talk about the details how we test in our second class tomorrow. Testing activities, we will create a test plan, like we will plan which feature should we test first, second, third, how we will test, how we will, if we find a bug, how we will track the bug, how we will communicate with that developer to fix that bug. All those things happening in testing phase. Let's say you develop, you test, everything passed, then it will be deployed to for the end user to use, and we will maintain. So I can give you an example of this website. This website has been delivered to us to use. Now the company who developed this website is basically maintaining our website. Let's say tomorrow a hacker could log into our website and just edit any information on our website. So that would basically lose our confident, our customer confident on this website. So the maintenance phase is nothing but the company who developed the software is basically, once they deliver the software, they maintain, they update, they track the uh, application functionality or their features or all those things. So in maintenance phase, we just do the maintenance of the phase. Let's say um, some people are not able to log in, so we will troubleshoot the process why they are not able. We will create a help desk and training. Let's say you are the first time user of this website, so probably we will set up a demo meeting and we will teach you, okay, how to use this home module, how to use this our services. This is all kind of maintenance work. We are not developing, we are not testing, we have already have something to use, but we are just maintaining it. Let's say you log in as a first time user, you just click on request free demo and you are not able to register. It's mean end user is not able to register. So he will, you as a end user will ask us to fix this one. So we will fix this one. So these all um steps will be considered in the maintenance phase. So these are the different um, phases of the software development lifecycle. I hope you guys understand, starting from planning, analysis, design, development, testing, and maintenance phase. Any question from anyone? Waqas, Zohair, Zishan?
In the analysis phase, so who will be the part of the team in the analysis phase? Do
You
you
would,
be as a tester also in
yeah,
the analysis phase?
yes, you would be the part of planning, analysis, because you are the part of the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your inputs will be highly appreciated if you put some your expertise on planning analysis. You can give your inputs, but in planning analysis phase or design phase or development phase, as a software tester you can just provide your inputs, but your active participation is not needed. Planning phase,
Mm-hmm.
project manager basically prepare all those documents, all those things. You are not worried about the return on investment. These are all project related documents. Analysis phase, business analyst expertise, he use uh, to analyze, prioritize the requirements. But let's say you have uh, good knowledge on analysis, you can put your in you can give them some advice. Okay, can we develop, um, can we prioritize the login functionality before logout, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is highly appreciated in the team if you are not completely involved in that phase and you are putting your inputs, and it makes a good impression in your team.
Mm-hmm.
But your main job is in the phase number 5, testing phase. If you not speak in planning, analysis, design, development meetings, it's completely okay. But if you are testing and you are not testing well, or you are not finding bugs, or you are not properly communicating, then it could be a problem for you.
Okay, can you repeat testing sign off? What is
Test,
that?
yes. So we have a criteria when we will start the testing and when we will stop the testing. So when we stop the testing, that criteria is basically a testing sign off. Let's say your project is ended after 1 year and you have to wrap up everything. That phase will be called as testing sign off. It means you are stopping your testing, everything is developed as per the requirements, everything is deployed for the end user, and now your application, your website is in maintenance phase.
Okay. So,
That phase will be called as testing sign off.
okay.
All right, so tomorrow we will spend another session on theoretical works. We will discuss software development lifecycle models. We will discuss 6 models: waterfall model, increment model, spiral model, verification validation model, agile model, and DevOps model. But you should not worry about waterfall, increment, spiral, verification model, and DevOps model. We will only discuss in detail this model, agile model. 95% companies right now are following agile model. No one is using waterfall incremental. Just this is just for information purpose, for your preparation for the interview. That's it. But I will go through one by one and tell you the advantages and disadvantages of each model. Like we have 6 models, we have dozens of other models, but in IT field these models have been used or are being used, especially the agile and DevOps model. But each model should have advantages and disadvantages. No one is perfect, but right now, as I mentioned, 95% or 90% companies, IT companies, are following agile model. Agile is basically iterative model, or I would say like move quickly model. So I will discuss each and every model, their advantages and disadvantages, through which you would clearly understand why we are not using this model right now. But once we go on the agile model, I will help you to understand what exactly is this one. So tomorrow we would have another session of theoretical work. After this SDLC model, next week we would have a practical session. I will tell you how to write a test plan, test case, test scenario, all those things. So we will be not worried about requirement gathering, analysis, design. We will only focus on the testing in starting from our next week.
Thank you, Akhtar bhai.
Any
Thank you so much.
any question?
And Akhtar bhai, how many lectures we have in total? 8?
So we would have 8 weeks. It means 16 lectures.
Okay.
48 hours. Today we spent
Oh.
3 hours. Tomorrow we
Mm-hmm.
will spend 3 more hours. So basically each week 6 hours.
Okay.
But my goal is to finish this manual testing part within 3 weeks.
Inshallah.
After three
Oh.
weeks, after 3 weeks, you would be so basically I would have more than 100 slides to show you
Mm-hmm.
guys and explain in 3 weeks. After that, you would be finished with the manual testing. Then I will
Okay.
start another testing that would be a FIFO testing, as well
Mm-hmm.
as I will teach you the backend testing as well. But
Okay.
that that part is completely hands-on experience and practical work. We will not go
Mm-hmm.
to like what is software development lifecycle. What I will do, I will go a demo website, something like that, and do a practical work. Okay, write a test case of home module. How to write? I will open up on the side template, and I will write the test case, and I will give you homework, and you guys have to test this web application, and you will send me the homework. I will check and tell you where exactly you are making mistakes. That would be a hands-on experience on software testing. So I hope you guys understand the basics of software testing right now. Why do we do the software testing? What is the importance of software testing? I hope you guys gain a lot of knowledge on basic things.
Yes, Akhtar bhai. We learned a lot from you today because this is the first time